I'm going to show you around my £500,000 studio and show you exactly how I built this. Now, first of all, I know what you're thinking. That is a lot of money for a photo studio, and that is not including the building. That is just the build out and the content, but the £500,000 is what I thought it was going to cost when I started. What it actually cost, thanks to the joys of DIY, was considerably less. Now, when I was starting out in photography, I didn't have a lot. I don't have rich parents. There's no nepotism going on here. And I priced this build up. I really knew that I wanted to have a studio. Regardless of the financial sense it made, I wanted a studio. And when I priced it up to have this space here, it was going to cost around £500,000. It was actually a bit less than that, something like 475 or somewhere around that work, but around 500,000. Now, there's a big issue here. The main one being I didn't have that much money. So I'm going to show you what I've done, how I've done it, and how I've achieved the same outcome at a fraction of the cost. Now, the reason I'm doing this video today is because this is the last time the Tin House Studio will be like this. This is the end of the studio in this iteration. We're moving on, new things are coming, but we'll get to that at the end of the video. So I'm going to walk you through every section in here, the kit that's in there, why it's in there, what's good, what's bad, what I would have done differently. So hopefully you can work out how to create something similar on a similarly small budget. Now, this whole project is being made possible by our sponsor for today's video, which is Valencia chairs. We'll do more on those later, but they're a big part of the style that's going to be in the new studio. So I guess it's only logical to walk around as you enter. So you come into my studio, there's a flight of stairs, not ideal. Didn't think about that when I rented it, but you know, we live and learn. First thing we have is the workbench. This is one of those things that is used every single day. I didn't even know I needed this until it was kind of a little bit too late, which is why it's in the hall. That hallway was the only bit of space left, but this is used for repairing the studio because I built it and it breaks. It's used for set building, it's used for cameras, everything. Everything is done there. I doubt very much a day goes by where I'm not fixing a tripod head, fixing a light stand, a ball socket, something like that is being repaired, and that is the place where it happens. Now, as you come further through, on your left-hand side, we have the sofa. This is the idea place. This is where I sit and stare. This is where I sort of come to take time out. And a big part of having a studio is not just that it's a space for you to create shoots, it's a space for you to be creative. And this whole thing needs to live in like a homogenous world. You have to have the ability to be creative in your creative space. A lot of commercial studios where we do the big jobs, it's just a big black room or a big white room. Very good for actually doing the shoot. Couldn't work in there 6 days a week for 10 hours a day. It would drive me slightly loopy. Now, for those who don't know, because I'm in Leicester and not London, we don't do big shoots in here. Any shoot that happens here is a smaller shoot. It's a tighter budget normally. And that's because this is more like, this is my workspace. This is my office. This is where I come to be creative. This is where I come to do test shoots. This is not where we come to shoot big worldwide ad campaigns. They're always done in London in these huge monster studios, which are absolutely brilliant. So for me, a big part of this space working is that it's comfortable, it feels homely, and it allows me to be creative. Now, as you walk past the sofas, you kind of come to the first kit area. So on the left-hand wall, just past the sofas, we've got the lights. We've got two Broncolor hazies, which are the big solid, they're not soft boxes, the hard box, the hazy boxes. Either way, they're very good. We've got the 8-foot indirect Octabank, which gets used once every 5 years. Got a couple of soft boxes. We've got all of the scrims, silks, flags, the polarizing gels, the mirrors, and then we've got two toolboxes. And as you open those up, every drawer is full of a different goodie, whether it's tweezers, syringes, special waxes, things to make the photos look good. Got a whole section on cables, HDMI, USB, all of that good stuff is in those. Next to it, we have the lights that get used most regularly. So we've currently got 4 Pulso F2 heads by Broncolor and 1 Pixapro 1200 watt head. And then we've got the packs next to it, and that's all good to go. Now, this is one of the big money saving parts. When we're shooting big jobs, we use Scoro packs. They're 12 grand each. If I'd got 4 of those, that would already be £50,000 just on packs. That is like the budget for a medium-sized shoot all in just for one day. Now, if you start to work things out logically and you take 30% of that budget and then you divide that by the amount of time it's got to last and add all your other expenses in, it's going to take you about 20 years to buy a Scoro pack, which is why we rent it. It's a logical thing. Don't tell me your camera paid for itself. That's just not understanding finance. Now, the majority of the modifiers we use are reflectors in this studio. We have a lot of softboxes, but it's mostly reflectors. So I tend to keep those on the heads. What I want to achieve here is being able to shoot as quickly as possible. If I have an idea, I want to be able to set up and shoot by myself. Having the hazy light on wheels with a pack and a head already in it means I can just wheel it out and take a soft light shot. Having the other heads there with reflectors on means I can just pop it on a C-stand and we're good to go. Of course, it could be better. I could have them permanently set up, but I don't like the clutter. I find it hard to think if all the kit's like out. I like it visible out, but to the sides. And this has no sort of warrant at all. It's just the visual aesthetic I like. And do not underestimate the power of visual aesthetic. Throughout the years of having the studio, we've tried to make it more beautiful. We've tried to make it look nicer. It went from a very stark, empty, this was just a box. There was nothing in here. Just an empty box with a concrete floor, and slowly each Christmas we did a little bit more work to it. Now at this point we're doing no more because we're moving on, but that's how I've tackled it. Now on the opposite side to the kit we have another pegboard, and this pegboard's full of clamps. We have pegboards on either side, both full of clamps, neatly laid out, and this means if we need to hold something, rig something, gaff something, whatever it may be, they're ready to go and it's nice and straightforward. Now, the main floor area, that's the shooting space, that's the working space, that's the get job done space. So we use a Manfrotto salon stand, which I've just repainted to make it look nice and new. Use some fence paint, worked a treat. Obviously, don't put it on the pole bit because it won't slide smoothly, but did a good job, redid the little bit of fabric in there as well. Very nice. We then have all of my camera bags, which are currently in use. We have off-site bags as well. But the studio camera bags are sat on a rock and roller cart. And this is for two reasons. One is when I'm in here, it's my tether trolley. And two is when we're shooting on location, it's my transport trolley. So we just take the monitor off and just wheel it out. So it's a really good bit of kit, the rock and roll. It's a bit, well, it rocks and rolls a little bit, but you know, it's not a proper tether station, but it works for me because we don't do the big jobs here. We always rent a tether cart when we go somewhere else. So for this, we just literally set it up and we're good to go. And it's nice having it all in one place. Now with kit, we keep kit separate. We don't keep it all in here. That'd be a stupid idea. If we got broken into, it would be a nightmare. So kit is kept in different locations, and also expensive kit is locked away somewhere secret, also in different locations, just to be safe. It's not so much the financial cost of losing all, although that would be a nightmare. Obviously it's insured. It's the logistics of it all. I've dealt with insurance companies. They're a nightmare. It takes time. And even if you get the money instantly, you still got to procure all the things you need. And nothing's that easy anymore. Now we have a whole heap of C-stands in that far corner as well, next to the pegboard. And we've got my charging trolley, which I love because it means when we're shooting, we need more sockets out here. We can wheel that trolley into the office and plug it in over there, and it just keeps charging. Really useful. It makes life simple having everything on wheels. We then have an assistance trolley on wheels. That's got all of the old Bowens heads on the bottom of it. They'll be going to the new place. They're bomb-proof. All the bits of stuff an assistant might need when doing a test shoot with me. We've got a styling trolley so they can put their little bits on it and move from the kitchen, which we have, into the main shooting area. It's not far, but it's good to have something just to rest your things on. And also, otherwise they put it on the shoot table, which is a motorized rise and fall table. They put it on there, and then we have to keep checking they've not left it there for reflection. So if you give them their trolley, they'll keep their clutter on the trolley. So in that area there, we also have this lovely blue chest of drawers, which we stole from home. And this is my coffee station. You do not need a coffee station, but it is my favorite part of the studio. My subwoofer is just down on the ground. We've got little speakers either side and an amp, which is wireless. We get the music playing on shoot days. And then we've got my espresso machine, my espresso grinder, my batch brew grinder, and a pour over kettle and pour over setup. It's just whatever kind of coffee I want, I can make it there, apart from milky coffees. But to be honest, when everyone asks for milky coffee, I just judge them. Like, just have it black like it's supposed to be. That's how it was intended. Just, you know, suck it up. So that's the coffee section. Very pleased with that. Love it. We've then got a massive fridge because we had a client who sent me 250 kilograms of fish without notice, and we had to go and buy a fridge. But I like it. I'm into the fridge. We're keeping the fridge. On from that, we have the shoot kitchen. Again, nothing fancy. Induction, hobs, electric oven, all wired in. Cheap IKEA kitchen. It's not a beautiful homely kitchen. The whole thing cost me like £300. It wasn't expensive. I thought I needed something better, but for food shoots, you really don't, because it's all in the styling, not in the cooking. We've then got two industrial style silver kitchen things on wheels, which are quite useful, so you can move them in and move them out. That's a nice little thing to have. And that's up against a green kind of wall thing, which is like a planty wall that we made. Now, the whole studio is full of plants. Having a concrete jungle like this is not ideal, so we filled it with as many plants as possible. We were going to shoot up against it because when I put that in, I was still a portrait photographer, believe it or not. But that never materialized. By the time I'd done it, I'd already kind of made the change, and it looks nice. It's good. We've got the same on the other side in the office. It adds insulation more than anything, and it also helps with the sound treatment here. If you listen to any of my early videos, you'll notice the echo in this room is insane, which is why all these little foam panels up here and on the ceiling and on the walls, all of that made a huge difference. We did a before and after test. I'll see if I can find the footage. Now, I know the foam's not all in the right place, but my approach, rather than paying someone who knows what they're doing, is just put it everywhere. And by sheer dumb luck, I will hit those key locations, and boy did I. But then one of my mates came in who does know what he's doing. He's like, yeah, 50% of this foam's doing nothing. I was like, yeah, but 50% is, so winner, winner. But there we go, chicken dinner. That takes us through to the office. The office is where I spend most of my time, sadly, sat at my desk. I've got 2 spare desks. One is for someone who rents a desk, which is now often used by my editor because I don't know where he's gone to. And the other one is used by my other editor. So I often have 3 of us in there editing at the same time, whether it's for a photo shoot, whether it's for the YouTube videos and bits like this. There's always somebody in there doing some form of editing. And now the phone's ringing. Oh, that's not important. Within the office, the whole editing setup is on M1 Mac Studio sort of stuff. And not studios, you know, the basic stuff. 13-inch M1 MacBook Pro and a Mac Mini with 16 gig of RAM. Both have 16 gig of RAM, both have terabyte hard drives. Both of them do the job. You don't need better than that if you're doing stills in 6K RAW. I get on fine. Now, if you're having to do rush edits, we have to get stuff out quickly on 6K RAW, you do need a better machine, but I stack these up, I go home, go to sleep, come back in the morning, they're all done. Works fine for me. Why spend more? And this is a lot of the ethos of this studio. Why spend more? Why spend more? Yes, it is better, but does it make you more money? If I go and buy a nice big computer, will I make more money? Absolutely not. Will I save time? Maybe a little bit, but it's not worth the, the outlay to do that. So that's very important, just to keep that in mind when building a studio, because these prices get out of hand quickly. Other things within there, it's all BenQ monitors. They're all the same apart from mine. I have a special one because I hate 4K monitors. I use a 1080p monitor. The other guys have 4K monitors. I was given some, I bought others. It is where it comes to. They're all calibrated at the same time, under the same lighting conditions. We normally have the blinds down, the lights off. It's a bit of a dungeon in there sometimes, gets a bit sweaty, but we get the work done. Down at the very end of there is the sink, which is a real pain because I built the office when I was a portrait photographer, built the kitchen when I was a food photographer. The sink's that way, the oven's that way. It doesn't work at all. It is an absolute disaster, but I'm not knocking this wall down now. It took me too long to build it. The ceilings are 14 foot high. It was a pain. Now, today's sponsor of the video is Valencia chairs, and this nicely brings us through to the next bit. My work and work in general has changed in photography. We're doing more smaller jobs in here alongside the big ones. These smaller jobs didn't exist before. They're sort of like $5 a day jobs, but they're happening here, and I need somewhere to put people. My sofa's all good, but it only fits 2 people. You can get, it's a 3-seater, but if you put 3 on there, it's a bit intimate. So having these chairs has been really useful. On our last shoot, we let the models sit there and they can sort of relax. Other shoots, we put clients there because they've got charging ports on the side of the chair. So they can sit down, get extremely comfortable, plug in their phones, have the iPad in the center, and watch the shoot as we crack on. We always use Capture One with the digital capture thing where it goes to iPads and phones, so they can have all that be plugged in, not worry about it. Little cup holder keeps it all nice. Now, one of the reasons the Valencia chairs are so important is because when I got them, I was like, these don't go with anything in here. They don't match a thing, but I'm getting a new studio. I'm taking over next door. Behind the wall back here is the same space again. Now, for the die-hard fans and for the people interested in commercial photography as a business, this bit's for you. I'm going to build that studio out based on the aesthetic of these chairs for several reasons. One is it's the opposite to this. And 2 is I've got the chairs. Now, these chairs are great for clients. They're great for customers and all the rest of it. I'm going to be renting out the other side of that studio, perhaps. I'm still not sure. And if I do, it'll only be to people I know. But regardless, there will be an option to rent that part out. We're going to make it a dark grey and black studio. the exact opposite to this bright, airy white studio. It is going to be for video work. It is going to be for photo shoots. It is going to be a big empty space. You see all this lovely mess in here? It's going to be the opposite of that. It is going to be the anti-tin house studio. Now the Valencia chairs are important because if we're renting it out to people, people need somewhere to sit, and I want them to sit in a nice, luxurious place. I remember when I first left university and I went to buy a sofa, I thought sofas might cost £200, not £2,000. But I also didn't realise how comfortable a chair could be. And these Valencia chairs are definitely that. They're extremely comfortable. They're cinema chairs. And what better way to watch a photo shoot than in a cinema chair? It's the weird crossover you didn't expect, but is absolutely brilliant. Now I'm going to show you them in place once we've built it, but we're currently 6 months behind on the build. Can't show you back there yet. Not suitable for public consumption. But this new space is going to be brilliant. It's going to be worth for my YouTube videos because currently my door is 10 meters in that direction, 5 meters really, 5 meters in that direction. And every time people go past, the lift opens and closes, I have to do this. That's not ideal. That is not how I want to be spending my YouTube filming time. It is not efficient. Back there, it's going to be quiet. We're going to deck it out to look cool for YouTube videos. And it also means all of this kit I've got set up here apparently will go away and clear up more space. One of the big reasons, the driving force behind this move is not I need more space, I'm going to do this and all the rest of it, is that the space has become available. I know the person who's in that space at the moment. I don't mind them being there. I don't want a random back there. It just does. It's not for me. This is my sanctuary. This is my safe space. That is going to be my biggest studio. We're going to have a huge workbench, much bigger than the one we've got in here, where we can get really messy. We're going to have a clean workbench where we can do camera repairs separate to that. We're going to have huge set building capabilities in there and storage as well, which is very important. That's going to free up some of the clutter in here, not much of it, but some of it. So the big backgrounds, the workbench, they're going next door. The Valencia chairs, they're going next door. So all of these things are going to be moving next door just to free up a bit more space in here. It also means if someone wants to rent my space, they can rent one of them and I can work in the other. It doesn't mean that I'm kind of like just sat twiddling my thumbs for the day, which is very important. Most important is the price. It's not going to cost me that much. It'll cost me less than a brand new Pro Canon camera. So I'm in for that. That price alone is worth me not having a neighbour. My current neighbour's very good. He's never here, which is why I like him. But if I had a neighbour in there who was always there and they're making noise, that would be detrimental to this especially, but also just to my sanity because I like to have a 3 p.m. nap wherever possible. So that's my studio. That's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to bring you along for the journey. Once it's safe to show you back there and predominant building work is done, I'm going to bring you in, I'm going to show you the build and how we're going to do it. And much like this £500,000 studio that I built on a shoestring budget, I'm going to be building the studio next door for less than 10 grand. Mostly because that's how much money I've got to do with. But I'm going to be doing it for less than 10 grand. And I'll do a full price breakdown as well. Not including buying it. I rent this building here. We don't really buy commercial buildings in the UK just to use them yourselves. It doesn't quite make sense. Unless you know you're going to be there for a very long time or you're going to rent stuff out. Then it absolutely does. But the rent here is good. Don't let my landlord ever see this. But the rent here is a bargain. We're very pleased. We're very happy. And I like being here. I've been here since 2016 now. So, you know, hopefully by 2026, a decade in here, it'll all be prim and proper and ready to go. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.